Good afternoon, everyone. I am Pooja Chaurasia, Assistant Professor in IIMT College of Pharmacy, Greater Noida. Today will be take a lecture on prevention of cruelty to Animal Act 1960. Now going to next slide. Next slide is like a content, introduction, goal and object, definitions, composition of CPS, SEA, Institutional Animal Ethics Committee, CPCSEA, guidelines for breeding and stocking of animal, performance of experiment, transfer and acquisition of animal for experiment, record and power of suspension or revoke and cancel registration, and then last offenses and penalties. And next slide is introduction. First of all, we know about cruelty on animal. Cruelty on animal like giving unnecessary pain and suffering like pain of on animal. Nearly all developing countries having law to save animal from cruelty, that is unnecessary pain and suffering. It can also be said that these laws have been made to prevent human from having cruelty towards the animal. In India, certain rules for this purpose were applied to various parts. However, most of the term remained ineffective for assessing the efficiency of the existing legalization on the subject and for combine several law into a single act. In India, Indian government appoint a committee which introduced the Prevention of Cruelty on Animal Act. The act was passed to prevent the animal from needless pain and suffering that it effective to all part of the country. On next slide is goal and object. To promote the human care of animal used in research, to provide specifications that will enhance animal well-being and quality of research. And then object. There is present lots of object to related of this Act 1916. It prevent the infliction of unnecessary pain or suffering on animal and also to prevent cruelty to animal. To provide guidance and guideline relating to experimentation on animal for scientific purpose. To term animals compression of any living creature but not a human beings. The term cruelty has not been defined under this act. However, it means the inflict of unnecessary pain or suffering. Now definition. The definition of prevention of cruelty to animal act 1916 are as follow. Like new word and sentence introduced to this act. First of all, like animal. Animal is any living creature other than human beings. Board. Board is the animal welfare board established under section 4 of the act. Breeder. Who is a breeder? Breeder is a person owning an institution which breed animal for transferring to the authorized institution for performing experiment. Next है domestic animal. Domestic animal means any animal which is tamed to serve some purpose for the use of human beings. Foca or domdev. Foca and domdev animal including any process of introduction, air or any substance into female organ of a niche animal for secretion of animal, like example for goat and buffalo and cow. Next, 6 point, like contract research. Contract research is commenced by any individual company, firm, corporation, or institutional on behalf of, for example, individual, company, corporation, or institution for any consideration. Next, collaborative research. Collaborative research is started between two or more research institutions on an actual equal footing, which does not involve any financial or monetary consideration and is undertaking only for the purpose of advertisement of scientific research and human welfare. Committees. Committee is constituted under Section 15 of the Act for Control and Provision on Animal. Establishment. Establishment is any individual, company, firm, corporation, institution other than school up to higher secondary level performing experiment on animals. Next, discuss about the CPCSEA. Full form, like Committee for the Purpose of Control and Supervision of Experiment on Animal. Is statutory body formed by the Act of the Animal Parliament, Indian Parliament, under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Act 1960. Formed in 1964, revised in 1998 under the committee chairpersonship of Menka Gandhi. Headquarters is present in Chennai, including various guidelines and subcommittee for the Cruelty on Animal Act. On next page, national level expert committee to secretarize and approved the research project conduct using animal, introduce a national good laboratory practice document, introduce the credo of 3 R's principle, and 2004 CPCSEA officially accept the concept of the fourth R. The fourth R means responsibility, reduction, replacement, and refinement. Investigators have a moral responsibility. Like moral responsibility, like responsibility is fourth R, to take care of laboratory animal after and before use. Now discuss about composition of CPCSEA. CPCSEA committee is composed of members of the scientific committee, regulatory authorization authority, animal activities, and the committee has 10 experts and 3 official members. This committee is divided into two organizations. First is Institutional Animal Ethics Committee and second Institutional Biosafety Ethical Committee. This act is passed under the Parliament, like Ministry of Environment and Forest, Animal and Welfare. Next topic, like Institutional Animal Ethical Committee, IAEC. IAEC is a committee with a group of individuals registered by the Committee for the Control and Supervision of Experiment on Animal. The expert consultant of CPCSEA is present in Chennai, and its member secretary for Animal Welfare is at New Delhi under the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Role of CPCSEA is to monitor animal experiment through ethics committee set up in institution. CPCSEA nominee like important link between CPSEA and IEEC. IEEC secretaries all project proposal for experimentation on animal for animal small animal given the final approval, then last for large animal make it recommendation of subcommittee on large animal. Now discuss about the IAEC composition. In IAEC, member like first member is biological scientist, and then 3 scientists for different biodiscipline, 1 veterinary involved in care of animal, scientist in charge of animal house facility, the chairman preferable head of the institution and department, and member secretary need to nominated from the above 5 member. Other member main nominee, linked nominee and scientist for outside and inside socially aware nominee nominated by CPCSEA, and then the validity of IAEC is only for the 3 years. Next, discuss about the guidelines or guidelines. CPCSEA guidelines for breeding and stocking of animal. Only the registered establishment can carry out the business of breeding or trading animal for performing experiment on them. The breeder or the establishment carrying on his business should applied for registration within 60 days for the date of starting the breeding and end experiment on date for the controlling and supervision. Rule 1998 CPSCA. In case the committee deny given registration, the breeder should stop animal breeding. The breeder or the establishment should apply for registration in the prescribed format, like submit for in only the formatting, either to the member secretary or any other person appointment by the committee on the behalf. Next guideline, like the breeder or the establishment should stock the animal as specified. Animal housing should be located in a quiet atmosphere, a place with no trafficking. The building should be neat and clean, hygienic, and the animals should be protected from drought and extreme condition of weather. Small animal should be kept in cage and large animals should be given shelter under stable for the comfort and to avoid overcrowding. The animals should also be looked at after during of how hours and on holiday. And next element like performance of experiment. In conducting experiment on animal, following conditions should be considered. Experiments should be performed in every case under the supervision of a qualified person. Animals should be looked after carefully before and after experiment. Experiments should be performed with humanity. Experiments should not be performed for the public place and for the public show. Experiment should not be performed for the photogenic session. The experiment involving operating procedure should be performed under influence of anesthesia to prevent pain perception. When there is some reason to believe that an animal is suffering from several pain at any stage of a containing experiment, it should be pain destroy at that stage without the proceeding the experiment. Now going to next slide. Transfer and acquisition of animal for experiment. A breeder will not transfer any animal by sale or other way to an unregistered person. A establishment shall not acquire any animal except for the registered breeder or establishment. The guidelines put forward by a committee for controlling the suspending experiment on animals should be obeyed by the breeder or establishment. Importing an animal which is already available in the country by a breeder or establishment is also legalized. And then record. Every institution, animal ethical committee and establishment should be maintain a record of animal under its control. All the laboratories all should inform the exact number of animal to the authorities and maintain record. A record in the prescribed format of the animal under the control and custody of every establishment or IAEC should be maintained and presented to the committee whenever asked for. The number or species of animal processed by a laboratory should be informed in the prescribed form to the secretary or any other officer appointed by the committee on this behalf. Now next slide. Power of suspend or revoke like cancel registration. The committee has a power of suspend and revoke the registration if they found someone not following provision of act. They can given the opportunity to register person for mending his fault and it is committee safety they can reissue the license. When a rule put forward by the committee are not obeyed by any establishment, breeder, IAEC, it may cancel their registration after giving a warning either for a definitely time period or permanently. The committee can permit the establishment, breeder, IAEC to continue the work according to certain conditions enforced by the committee. Last is offenses and penalties. An individual is held responsibilities of an offenses under this act if he and she exhibit or train any animal not registered under his amendment, exhibit or trained any animal with respect to with which he and she is not registered, exhibit or trained any animal on which experiment should not conduct, does not allow any individual or public officer to enter the inspect to place where experiment are conducted, hide any animal to avoid inspection. Sixth number is despite of being registered under this act, fail to produce the certificate with no genius reason or apply to get registered under this act when not entitled to be show register. If found to be guilty of any of these offenses, an individual is punished with a fine of 500 or is imprisonment for 3 months or both. One, contravening any condition enforced by the committee, an individual to punished with a fine up to 200. If the contravention of rule take place in any institution, the in charge of it should is held a responsibility for the offenses and punishment. And last is thank you and give a message related to cruelty on the animal. So please, all person minimize our nature related to cruelty on animal and stop animal eating and stop cruelty on animal. And then thank you.